And we're live. Welcome everybody to the third session in Werewolf: The Dark Ages, Sveriges elite campaign. We're gonna start right where we left off last time. Although I will mention that each of the players have received some renown points. Red Claw received some glory points for being the first into combat in all the fights having to do with last session and dealing the fatality to the little Grendel monster there that you fought. Then I gave Curious Mind some honor points for holding to her word to the spirit of the lake and vouching for his friends and keeping true to everything she promised and upholding the name that she has. And for One Fang, I gave points in wisdom for having first experiences with spirits like Banes and being inside the spirit of the lake and all that. It's all relatively new stuff for One Fang. But last time, where we left off was after that Grendel monster was destroyed. The body that you took down together started to melt down into this kind of a liquidy goo that kind of evaporated into this smoke that disappeared into the air once it evaporated, and what was left behind was the original corpse that it was based on, a corpse that had spent an entire year underneath that water, and it was the bloated, rotting corpse of none other than Pure Love, the former tormentor of Red Claw when she was still a prisoner of war in Pure Love's little torture chamber pit. On the body was the pendant that he had on his neck, the little chain that had a little marble-looking, fiery colored little marble ball there. And everyone was left there beside the body. Red Claw was caught staring into the pendant there, and you were all there feeling, the moment there. You all, Red Claw, kind of let all of you know who this person was, and having that pendant kind of flow in front of your face almost like hypnotically, as this is something that really, like, in this Vietnam flashback sense, brought all sorts of nasty memories to life back to you. And it all ended with all of you joining on a joint howl of victory over vanquishing this monstrous creature that you faced there together. And you're still there. You're exactly where you left off. The howl has just been sent out. It was very like, this camaraderie between the three of you after completing this task together and joining in the ceremonial celebration of letting out the howl for the kill. You all feel this bond strengthened between the three of you, and that's where you are. That's where you're standing right next to each other. The grass beneath your feet is beginning to dry from the moistness of the melting body as it's almost entirely evaporated into the air. But the bloated, rotting wolf corpse is still in front of you, and all of you are, I would say, both One Fang and Curious Mind, especially after the howl. What kind of grabs your attention, with, of course, feeling sympathy for your comrade there for all that she's been through. The pendant does grab both of your attention and concern because you have no idea how it ties into any of this. So, what's going on with each of you? What's going on, especially through Red Claw's mind, but what's going through all of your minds at this point?
Hello?
Okay. I was just waiting to see if anyone else wanted to go first.
We're so modest.
Red Claw, she'll be staring at the pendant. After letting out the victory howl, she'll be feeling very invigorated, but in the back of her mind, she still has those thoughts building up deep within, and it feels very anticlimactic for her. There's a bit of a melancholy that has washed over her face, because in her mind she has pictured, she has counted the days that she was going to get back at pure love and fight him one-on-one. There was this glorious, picturesque battlefield upon her mind where she would trample over him victoriously, but here before her is this shallowed, withered husk of what was once pure love. His ideologies now kind of whispering in the back of her mind, as she remembers so dreadfully yet fondly. Um, Thinking on that, she kind of feels a bit let down. There's still the victor that she defeated him, but it really wasn't him, was it? It was him possessed.
Well, curious mind. Her mind is racing. Um, it's going in all kinds of scattered directions where she's, I think, most primary very pleased with the fact that she upholded her word to the spirit and was able to do so with her new pack members. Um, she's still thinking about what the elders said about not giving back the bodies of these red talons, and she's still thinking about what to do about that, and how to deal with these things. It's still something she's carrying along. Also, she's curious about the reaction that Oxspear is going to give for the fact that we killed this glorious creature without him, and she might consider him to be a bit like, couldn't you have waited? You just walked that way, just wait for me, and I would have joined in the fight. So she's also already thinking about that. But after the relief of keeping her word, she is indeed curious again about what this pendant is that Red Claw is holding, and she's not sure if etiquette will allow her to just like snatch it from her hand and like, ooh, let me see. But because werewolf society is a bit different than wolven society. In wolven society, you can just grab something and just run, and here she needs to take it delicately, so she's biding her time to be able to examine it.
By the way, Red Claw, how is she holding the pendant at this point? As you're, after the howl and all that, is it like in a closed fist, or do you have it like in front of you, or something? How are you holding?
She holds it in front of her in a closed fist as it dangles downward, and after a while, she just kind of lets her hand down. She still has it in that same, still closed and hanging, but this time she's let it rest up against her side after a while. Um, and then after the howl, she kind of just silently looks at everyone.
Before, I'm sorry to interrupt, but before that, John, could you also describe what One Fang is going through, what's racing through his mind as all of this went down before Phil describes what happens?
As One Fang, kind of started and finishes the howl, it was almost like an autonomic function that just kind of happened. He doesn't even know why he howled. Besides, just felt like the right thing to do. And although he's heard other pack members do it at different times, never in this type of glorious, powerful thing. And as he stands there, he begins to come out of his Krenos form, kind of just shifting back into human form, and His mind is racing. He's at once like happy and exhilarated. His heart is still pounding, not quite as powerful as when he's like full werewolf, but and at the other time he's completely frightened and doesn't understand what the hell they just faced against. He was so caught up in the moment of like this is the right thing to do when they were under the water that he didn't even have time to process what the fuck they fought. So his entire being, now that it's starting to register that he doesn't even understand, there was these giant snake-like creatures and this other creature, and the slight understanding of what Curious Mind explained to him about what a Bane was isn't quite fitting as to what he just saw. And now in his head he's going through this dead creature. Is the Bane from there? Did the Bane come from that? Was it part because it was an evil being? Was it because it was a shaman? Is it just all werewolves create this? Then his mind just jumps to, what if one of these gets loose and fucking wrecks every human being because there's no way that they can fight against it? He had his own troubles. Then his mind jumps to Agnes and his child, and he almost is so rage-ridden by it that like you can see him just almost turning red with slight tears at the edge of his eyes, and he just wants to run home to make sure that she is okay. His heart is just so torn up, but he's looking over at, he looks at Red Claw, and he's still getting that pack energy keeping him together, and he's basically fighting with himself to just run home and be with Agnes, and at the same time keeping track of Red Claw, who, as Curious Mind becomes more a part of our group, obviously he'll care more, but right now Red Claw is one of the few people that he has a real affinity for, and has a protective nature toward, so he's concerned with her. He's just waiting for her to make a move, as he knows that she's not quite the, you don't want to badger her for information, you want to let her kind of give it out. So yeah, so he's kind of that torn between his humanity side and his pack mates.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Seeing as Curious Mind has a very high perception and an empathy of 2, I'll probably notice that One Fang is struggling with all this, and she'll kind of move towards him as well, and kind of push herself up against him, making the closeness of this moment more the 3 of us and not just focused on Red Claw.
One Fang immediately kind of off, just feeling that contact and the fact that Curious Mind, it just touches him to a point where the tears that are at the edge of his eyes kind of just start slowly just dripping down the side of his face. Not like he's weeping, or more weeping than bawling or crying. He just, all that adrenaline is dumping out of his system, and he just kind of gets down on his hands and knees and just kind of wraps his arm around you and just kind of hugs Curious Mind around the neck and just whispers thanks, and then stands up, still staring at Red Claw.
Oh, what's got into you, little one? You're a little teary-eyed as she kind of leans in a little bit.
One Fang reaches up, kind of wipes his face. He's like, it's just residual water coming off my hair. You know that. He's like, but how are you doing?
Disappointed. I wish he was alive, so I can have a proper battle with him. One-on-one. I'd have gladly put him down myself. It's a shame, really. I feel like glory has been taken away. Sure, the beast is slain, but in some ways I wish he was still alive. A strange thought.
There's more glory in killing a Bane spirit than there is in killing a fellow werewolf.
This is true. This is true, but this one threw me in that pit, and this one caused me so much pain. I couldn't join my brethren while my clan was being attacked, my tribe under assault by these wretched fools, and yet I had to stay in that pit. And he made that happen. But it was in the past, and he is dead, long dead. She kind of kicks the corpse a little bit, shuffling around with her foot, and looks over to the rest of you. All that's left now is this strange pendant, this thing that's really haunting in my eyes.
There's a strong spiritual residue there. I can sense it even from here.
Mm. Would you know anything of it?
Not of yet, but I would very much like to examine it and see what I could learn from it.
Yeah, and she kind of kneels down and hands it to you.
I take it, and there's almost this like, well, that went easy, surprised look in my mouth, like, okay.
Actually, before you go and grab it, there's this kind of a with Red Claw, as you've been, looking into it. It's kind of like this. It's kind of felt like time has slowed down in your mind as you're kind of. It's more of a, it's a part of the torture tool, that's been used against you. Kind of. It's such a uh, clear image of your memories of all that pain and all that. It's kind of been more. It's kind of been more trauma based kind of that's caused the kind of feeling of time slowing down and all that, rather than any kind of mystical element of it. Even though it's easy to imagine that a pendant like this on a werewolf's neck is most likely mystical. But for you, it's mostly been trauma and emotion driven. But as you're down there, reaching your arm forward to hand it to Curious Mind, when Curious Mind looks at it and kind of focuses on it as you're about to reach forward and grab it, you feel this similar thing where you feel this kind of a when you look straight at it, it feels like this kind of everything moving slowly around you, and you're like fully focused on it, staring straight at it, feeling almost like your eyes get a little bit crossed as it's kind of a small, little marble-sized pendant there, and as it kind of wiggles as it's hanging from a closed fist there, as it kind of moves in front of your eyes as you're looking at it, and it feels like everything around you is kind of slowing down, and you feel like as you're focusing on it, almost like involuntarily, it feels like kind of the edges of your eyes, everything is getting kind of this shade of yellowy, orangey hue to it, and at that point you see that the pendulum movement kind of stops, and it stops right in the middle, and as you see the kind of the marble, the orb that looks kind of the color of fire or something, you see a straight black line. You've seen the eyes of snakes before, and you see in the fire a black snake eyes open and looks straight into your eyes, and immediately as you notice that kind of freezes you a bit, as in like you're unable to form cohesive thought as you're staring into it, and you feel like everything is turning, like on the side of your eyes, everything is turning into this kind of fire color. The hue around basically around it is orangey, red, yellowy, and you start to hear this crackle of wood when it burns around you, and you start to hear this kind of a background noise of these human wails, and then it shuts, and you snap out of it, and it's like nothing happened to anybody else's eyes. It's like nothing happened. It was like a microsecond. She didn't freeze up or anything like that. It was just, here you go, and kind of a, here we are. But for Curious Mind, you had that kind of a it looked very much like a burning reptilian or snake eye that opened and closed, and you felt the world burn around you.
As I reach forward to grab it and have this sensation, I jump back without taking the pendant, and as I push back in mid jump, I'll spend a rage point, and I'll shift from lupus, the form that I'm in now, to a Hamid form. So I go through the entire specter in just the blink of an eye. And as I land, I kind of grab the ground around me, and pulling out, because I believe it's kind of grassy-like, I kind of pull out two chunks of ground, and I kind of slap it on the bracelet, which Red Claw is still holding.
Okay.
Not so much to smash it, but to contain it.
Yeah, like you house it like in a shell of soil.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's hanging there, and there's Curious Mind holding some.
One Fang kind of leaps back, just not even sure what the hell's going on, and like kind of crouches down. He's feeling the blood boil back into his body as he's almost feeling like he should shift because he's not sure what the hell's going on. Okay, he's kind of like hasn't shifted or changed, but he's ready to at the moment's notice to just to wolf out completely if he needs to.
Okay.
Upon like seeing that sequence of events occur, she gets kind of hesitant, and her hand, as she holds the pendant, starts to shake a little bit, and she kind of looks to you, Curious Mind, says, "Please take it. I wish not to see that again."
I start to spit on the soil that's holding it.
Okay.
This is, by the way, the first time you guys see a Curious Mind in her human shape.
Yeah, you're rather attractive. But yeah, werewolves mating with each other, it's kind of like incest or something. It's kind of like a, it's kind of, it's hard to compare to something like that. But anyway.
What does Curious Mind? What does Curious Mind's Hamid form look like?
Oh well, she's the prototype Swedish woman, as in a long blonde hair, probably at least to her waist, if not longer, and she wears it loose, so it's kind of hanging everywhere, and she just has this slender, athletic build to her.
And she has those bright blue eyes and all that.
Yeah.
So an Aryan.
Yes, very much so. Is there a lake or water?
Yeah, you're right at the edge of the lake where you originally came out of, and you're still in the Umbra, so it's
no, we're out of
like
the
you
Umbra.
described before.
We're out of the Umbra.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Sorry, I forgot. Yeah, but you're at the edge of the lake there, yeah.
So while spitting on it, I'll walk towards the lake, and I'll kind of shove my hands with the thing in it for a moment to completely soak the ground that's holding it, and then I just push it in and pull it out again.
Okay, so it's like a muddy clump then.
Yeah.
The chain is the chain still like hanging out of it, or did you like put the chain in it as well?
No, it depends on how long the chain is. I don't touch the leather or anything, and just holding the soil around it.
Okay, the chain is long enough where it'll be a very tight fit for a Krynos, but for a lupus it's gonna be a kind of a loose, or a human it's gonna be like hanging somewhere like here if it were on a human neck. So it's kind of a long chain.
So I'm just holding it and breathing heavily.
Do you need help, Curious Mind? What is it? Is it dangerous?
It has to be dangerous. He always had that on him. Every time he breathed that disgusting mist down from his mouth. The same color. It's disgusting.
I'm not sure if it's dangerous, but it's frightening, though. It's powerful.
Can we break it? Can we just destroy it?
Not sure. We need to examine it. If it's as powerful as it looks like it is, it's breaking it or destroying it might set something free that we don't want free.
You notice that One Fang's eyebrow kind of goes up, and he's like, "What do you mean let something free?" He kind of looks back to where the corpse was. He's like a bane, like something like that.
Could be. I kind of shake my ear where what's the word? Oh my goodness.
Earring?
Yeah, the ring. The ring is in my ear, and I say, every fetish that we have as werewolves, it's just a well-crafted object with a spirit bound to it. That's what makes it, grants it its power. We don't know what kind of spirit's bound to this thing.
He kind of stares at you, and you can see like things are working in his mind. You know, kind of in the background as he's staring at you. And he's like, "You're bound? You mean like forced to be in there, like kind of like slavery?"
Some items are. Sometimes spirits are forced. Sometimes it's an understanding.
The best ones are often the ones that you ask to join you. So I got Eider Drake here, and she pats the skull.
And it kind of clacks its teeth like in response.
Those are, to my opinion, the only ones that should be there.
At this point, since Curious Mind is the wolf-born out of the three of you, she will notice first. She will hear and smell a group of 3 hispos running within your territory. You recognize that it's your packmates running towards you, and after a little while, not long at all, the rest of you will all also notice. You will hear the crackling of sticks and brushes swiping away as 3 hispo-size, basically like Krynos on all fours, running from the woods to the lakeside, and they're all very recognizable as the 2 lupus-born wolves from that trio. Just look bigger, and Oxspear is also someone you've seen in Krynos form. So they're all very, and of course from their smell and everything of that sort. But yeah, they arrive there. Basically, they've been running full speed, and they all like kind of put on brakes, and the ground beneath their paws kind of slide there as they put on the brakes, and they kind of are sucking in air and kind of breathing heavy. And Oxspear immediately steps forward in his hispo form and says, "What's going on?"
One Fang kind of steps in front of Curious Mind, doesn't say anything, but just kind of hides the fact that she's holding that clay object, and then doesn't say anything. Go ahead, Red
Claw kind of just steps forward, and with her hands on her hips slightly, she'll say, "I believe the correct question is what was. But what was here was a bane. That bane is no more. We slayed it."
Oxspear looks at you and looks at the 2 wolves beside him at Dusklight and Red Bitch, and looks back at you, and you see a smile on his face, a genuine smile, not a sarcastic smile. And as you see that he then shapeshifts all the way, not using like rage or anything, just normally through all the forms into his Hamid form, and the two wolves beside him shapeshift back into their natural forms, into the wolf form, and Oxspear and the two immediately start to walk forward. Oxspear with more spring on his step as he looks like he's like rubbing his hands, and he's got like a very toothy grin on his face, while a very like a crooked look on his eyes, and he's rubbing his hands, and he's like, "All right, where is it? Do tell. What actually happened? We went to Bear, and all he told us was that the water tastes of death, and that we should be here with you, and that's exactly when we heard your howl and ran here. You're saying basically that we missed the party?"
Afraid so. And she glances down at the corpse to her feet. This was the subject of the bane.
And he looks down, and he just kind of... It looks like the smile is kind of fading off of his face, and he's just... "Who's this sorry son of a bitch?"
Pure love.
Have you mentioned his name to somebody like Oxspear or anybody besides One Fang, really?
I did mention it to the council and stuff, so I don't know whether he might have heard it offhand or not.
Okay.
I remember when I came back, I was saying stuff about it, but I don't think I didn't walk up to him specifically, but I'm sure he might have heard about it.
Okay. Oxspear is kind of looking at it with the corpse with this kind of inquisitive look, and that's when Red Bitch kind of walks forward and chimes in and says, "Isn't that the name you gave when One Fang brought you back? Is this one of the Red Talons then?"
Yes. This has to be the one.
And at that point, Oxspear will kick the bloated, rotting corpse and just say, "You putrid son of a bitch. Still find red talon corpses around these parts."
This one was in the lake, and the Bane was using it. Yes. We chased it out here from the Umbra.
Well, in that case, you've done extremely well. Too bad just that we couldn't join the party then, I guess. It's been almost a year since there's been any real challenge around here. You always have to leave for other realms to find anything worthwhile to fight. It's actually something worthwhile just around the corner. Too bad I didn't notice before. Well, all of you have done a really fine job then. Well, how about details? What actually what's become of this pile of muck?
Well, let's see here. First, we traveled into the Umbra, into the lake's center. There, at its base, we met what was it? Those tendrils, those snake-like creatures. They came upon us, tried to kill us, tried to eat us. We bit back, sliced and diced our way down to the bottom. What we saw would look like a pussy bag, as common for the Banes. And we went in. I sliced it open. It was too fast. Its disgusting form. Too many legs to count. Its body like a serpent slithered right inside its corpse. It became a monster. We chased it out here. And then we slayed it. One Fang, curious mind, all of us.
And at that point, even though he doesn't have hands, I don't know what would be the wolf equivalent of clapping, Dusklight will basically clap and applaud you and be like, "This'll make it for a great story, guys." It's most likely if the elders on the island didn't even recognize its presence there, which they should have, maybe that bag thing that you described, maybe that was somehow housing it or like camouflaging its presence there. If it's been there for almost a year, if this Red Talon is someone who fell in the war at Oxford, when they dragged all the bodies out of the lake, I clearly, distinctly noticed the ones I killed. That doesn't look like anybody I killed. Each one I killed got at least a split skull. That just looks like it's choked to death or something. Maybe looks like something was wrapped around its throat.
Curious mind looks up. Really? It does?
And as you, if you want to make a investigation and perception roll, you're free to kind of go through like a surface autopsy, or deeper if you wish.
I'll give a look at it. Though I'm not sure how much I'm going to find out, seeing as everybody's been kicking it and doing lots of stuff to it.
Yeah,
Actually,
though all of the damage that you did to the kind of what I described as being a Grendel creature, which is something that's described in the Dark Ages book, basically a Fomori that's kind of the thing, kind of a troll creature type of thing, something where the legends of trolls and Grendel and all that most likely, originally come from. It was werewolf stuff, But yeah, go ahead and like for example, destroying the knee and ripping the guts out. That hasn't happened to the actual body. The actual body is it just looks like it's spent a year underwater.
Yeah, but even after it's changed back, it's received several kicks. So I got one success.
Okay, with that one success, basically as Oxpear already described, that it looks like it's been strangled to death by something around its neck. As you investigate and look closer, you definitely notice what he said. Like there is this, there's all sorts of like bloated and loose, rotten skin on top of one another and that sort of thing. Like kind of like these layers of bloated pus and stuff, all this kind of gross stuff. But you do notice that around its neck there's like this straight line. It doesn't look like specifically like a chain. It doesn't look like anything's like burned it, but it does look like either that chain or somebody used like a string or something like that to basically choke it to death. Or at least, if not choke it to death, it's been choking while it's been dead for a long time. One success does not provide you with knowledge of whether the choking has happened after death or is the cause of death.
All right. I'll be walking around the body now and then, moving bits of flesh with my feet, because I'm still holding this clump of earth firmly and looking at it. Sometimes crouching down and looking at it closely.
What do you see, Curious Mind?
The body's too much bloated to really see what's going on. But Oxpear's right. It does seem to have been strangled.
Can one thing, since he's there, and Curious Mind's not sure, can he investigate it too? Can he look at it?
Yeah, sure. Do a perception plus investigation roll, or also, well, it's more of an investigation, unless you would want to roll medicine. That would also. I still think it's more of an investigation thing.
I got 3 successes.
3.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Are you gonna go just on the surface, or are you gonna go like open it up or something like that?
Yeah, I'm not going to open up the body, but all the times where he's had to dress the people who had died, whether they got caught in fishing line or were out, drowned in the water or anything like that, makes him remember those. And he's trying to go through his head of all the different injuries he's seen throughout his life as he prepared bodies for burial, and begins to kind of move the folds of the skin and really get into what grabbed a hold of him or what could have changed. At first he just assumed it was the chain, that someone grabbed the chain and choked him, but if that's not the case, then that's really what he's trying to figure out what it was.
Well, with 3 successes, you're able to find that the bruising that's around the neck is something that has formed before being dead. It's basically, yeah, someone has either used a string or grabbed like the necklace around its neck or something of that sort. But yeah, you do find that most likely the cause of death has been strangulation with tremendous force that it must have taken to strangle somebody like a werewolf with a chain or with a string or anything of that sort. And well, you haven't been in the community long enough for you to know, but you at least you don't know of anybody who uses anything of that sort, who uses like a piano wire or something just to choke people.
Like some sort of garrote or something, got on there and choked him out.
Yeah, it's most likely someone has used the chain that was around his neck, or the chain has gotten caught somewhere, or the chain itself has strangled its host, or whatever your wild imaginations can muster up. But still, he was choked to death.
Can we tell what age that this death occurred?
You mean like how old the wolf was when he died?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that will be again something that'll. It's so bloated and so disgusting that it'll again need a very good roll for you to get a detail like that.
Is its fur still like what color is the fur we're looking at here?
The fur is brownish gray at this point. It's like the hair is where if you would touch it, it would just go off with you. If you would touch it, it would just get loose from the basically, if you would grab it by its legs and shake it hard enough, all the fleshy stuff would just slide off of the bones, and the stench would be unbearable. So.
Right. So at this point, then Red Claw's gonna kind of look, and she sees everyone else kind of taking extra investigative looks at it, and she kind of just scratches her chin a bit and kind of squints her eyes, and then she kind of just shrugs her shoulders a bit. She makes sure to keep her distance away from the corpse a bit, as she is wanting to place her mind elsewhere. So she begins thinking about the glory that she has obtained in slaying this Bane.
Okay, but as One Fang is just like going through the body surface, and since Curious Mind just has her hands like this, and she's going through the body with her toes, it's kind of obvious where Red Bitch will kind of look squarely at Curious Mind and say, are you holding something in your hands?
I kind of look at her and say...
Or is that some sort of... wait, is that a chain that's flapping up? What?
I don't understand the question.
You did say that you didn't put the chain into it.
No, yeah, she's just holding it and the chain is bobbing out.
Wait, what? No, what? What's going on? What's going on? You guys hiding something from us? Why would you hide something from us? And Oxpear immediately is like, what? Who's hiding? What? From what? Who? Me? And everybody's kind of like, there's this immediate tension in the air. Everybody's kind of confused and kind of looking around and looking at at Curious Mind at this point.
Who is looking a bit like not sure what type of situations he's in right now, and she's like, yes, I'm holding some. I kind of hold it up a bit higher for everyone to see.
And Red Bitch is immediately looking at it. That's a chain. Everybody's just stating that that bloated carcass was choked to death with, or rather strangled. When you're not holding the murder weapon in your hands, are you?
It could be.
Well, care to share it with the rest of us?
Sure. She kind of holds it. It was around Pure Love's neck, and it has a.
There, as you're speaking.
It has a strong spiritual residue.
Spiritual residue. Let's see. I don't feel anything yet. Is it like tied to the whole Bane thing? Is it? Is it some sort of a like he's kind of curiously coming towards you, but he's kind of like he's not like stepping on your toes or anything. And also Dusklight and Red Bitch are coming closer, but they're also like curious as to, you know, there's something you know, here beyond just, you know, a chain or something, as you describe it. It's kind of, they're kind of taken aback, or rather they're kind of a little bit tense about it.
I'm not sure yet what it is, but when Red Claw took it and gave it to me, it seemed unfriendly.
What? There's like it's like a fetish? It's like there's some spirit of war in it or something that you managed to piss off already? Let's see. I'll talk to a spirit of war. I'll kick its ass. Let's see. He reaches forward to grab basically your hands.
I kind of turn around and kind of turn my back slightly towards him and kind of hold the thing. I'm not sure it's a spirit of war.
Well, spit it out then. If it's a danger, we need to be aware of it.
I don't know what it is yet. I need to examine it, but so much has been going on. I thought I'd contain it for now in the earth. I kind of widen a few of my fingers so he can see the earth that's around it.
Everybody's kind of looking at each other in kind of this, and Red Bitch, being the contrarian in every situation, is kind of reaching from the side. And how exactly is the Earth gonna house anything? If it's a danger, we need to examine it as soon as possible. If we hold on to it, it's gonna blow up on our faces when we're not expecting it, or something. Or since we're this close to the Gyren, it could be a danger to the Gyren, or we can't leave it like this. We can't just keep on guessing or just putting mud around it.
I wasn't planning on just leaving it. I want to examine it, but I can't examine it when I'm talking to all of you.
And Oxpear will just... And the rest of them, Red Bitch will kind of sit down and kind of roll her eyes again, and Dusklight will kind of step forward and kind of look at you questioningly and kind of say that, well, what do you plan to do with it?
Examine it?
Yeah, but I meant as an examination. What do you plan to? How do you plan to examine it?
First, I'm going to examine it here in the physical world, see what I can learn from it. But I most likely will take it to the Umbra and see what kind of representation it has there.
All right. If you need any help, I'll be willing to help. I know a thing or two or about this stuff. So those two aren't that well versed when it comes to all the spiritual umbral stuff, you know. But I'll be glad to offer assistance if you while you're investigating it. So
Please.
all right. So there you are. Basically, everybody seems to be paying attention to you as you're holding this lump of mud in your hands.
She's a little self-conscious of the fact that everybody's staring at her, and she's like looking around for a nice spot to start the examination. And she'll find a nice open spot, and she'll not do it in any of the area where the Bane spirit died, so where there's any taint of this Bane spirit. So she might actually walk away a bit to find a clean spot, and she'll put the ground and the necklace on the ground, and start first with her finger, but then she realizes her finger isn't really adapt for this, so she changed back into her lupus form, and then starts to carve some symbols and thing in a circle around it, and then she'll start to examine it and observe it and see, and also ask her friend the cuckoo to if he knows anything about it.
The cuckoo bird is it's a spirit. So once you go to the Umbra, you're going to interact with him.
Oh yeah, well then we'll wait there, of course.
Do you mean like you're going to do the examination in the Umbra, or you're going to
No,
wait?
first in the physical world. So if there's anything that gives me more information than I already have, if not, I'll go into the Umbra and then I'll continue my examination there.
As you're examining it to the best of your abilities, here, I won't even have you do any rolls in the physical realm. It's just like any decorative necklace. It's just a chain with a ball that has a very pretty color of orange, yellowish, reddish hue that looks kind of like a fire or something, but just as much as a marble would.
All right, then we'll go into the Umbra.
Okay. So do you just open the portal there, or?
Yeah, probably a short distance away from the necklace itself, but then I'll step sideways, kind of looking if anybody else wants to come or if they're all staying here.
At this point, Oxspear kind of looks at you and says, "Fine, this is more of your alley, anyways. I'm charging you," and he points his finger at Curious Mind. "I'm charging you with this task. That's on your shoulders now. You'll get to the bottom of this, and you'll inform us. We'll be going back to the bear and inform him of what actually transpired here. But once you're done, meet us at the bear, and me and Red Bitch will be there talking to him and calming him down, so that there's no need to worry no more, even though the bear most likely knows what's already transpired. But still, do your thing." And he kind of snaps his fingers or waves his hand, and Red Bitch kind of yet again rolls her eyes and kind of walks beside him as they kind of walk into the woods, and you're left there, the four of you, now that Dusklight is with you guys. And yeah, at that point, when Oxspear leaves with Red Bitch, he didn't point at anybody but Curious Mind. So basically, anybody that wants to go with him can go with him. But if anybody wants to go with curious mind and be a part of this investigation, they're free to do so.
One thing stays with curious mind.
Red Claw she'll kind of take a few breaths and well, she doesn't want anything else to do with the pendant, and the thought of what's inside that pendant kind of really begins to. It's a mixture of like creep her out and like build up of a lot of fear and all those rather unpleasant memories, because all those things are linked to that, and to see the spirit that was attached to it frightens her in a way that makes her rather uncomfortable, and something that she probably won't be willing to admit. So she'll probably head with the others, trusting in One Fang and Curious Mind's abilities.
Okay. So everybody's coming with her and stepping sideways through the portal as well. So once everybody's there on the other side, it's, again, just like described before. I won't go into lengths to describe it every single time, but it's the penumbra, so it's basically the same familiar place as it always is in this kind of familiar grounds, As you step through the necklace has no change in any sort of none of you really feel it emanating anything really powerful or anything of that sort. It was just this momentary thing. Even when Curious Mind said that she feels that there's power surging from it, it's more of a it didn't really let out any real any real flow of power. It was it was obvious that it's some sort of a mystical item. So it's more of a conclusion that she would have reached like automatically, instead of it actually emanating anything, because it's like purposefully not emanating anything, as Oxspear or any of the others haven't really like felt anything threatening from it. Neither has One Fang, and Red Claw only felt like personal, emotional type of dread coming from this pendant. It was only Curious Mind who felt the mystical part of it, and that was something that was kind of private. Nobody else saw or felt that. But as you're in the penumbra, as you've stepped through, it's just like in the physical realm, at least on the surface. It doesn't like signal anything or emit anything. It doesn't really seem, at least on the surface level, to be all that different. But everybody's again kind of paying attention to Curious Mind, what she's planning to do with it.
I'll walk around it and observe it, and I'll call on my friend, the cuckoo.
Okay. You don't need to do any roll for it. It just arrives as you call. Do you like howl for it, or how do you call for it whenever you call?
Yeah, I probably howl, or yeah, probably a howl. Just
Okay.
a short "Arr!" to let it know that I'm here.
As you let out the howl, it doesn't take long at all for you to see this bright, kind of bluish turquoise, bright little dot kind of flowing from the air, and as it gets closer, as it's kind of small, as it comes closer, its form starts to be easily recognizable as it's the cuckoo bird, and it flaps its wings as it comes closer at high speeds, and as it comes very close, it kind of backs or puts the brakes on with its wings, and lands on your shoulder like it normally does, and it bows its head again, and it says, like it normally does, and it says that, my friend, you called.
Hmm. It's good to see you again, my friend. We found something interesting.
How do you mean?
I point at the necklace. It was around the neck of a red talon who tortured one of my pack members.
Strange.
Do you know it?
No, that is the thing. I do not know it, and I do not sense anything of it, though it obviously looks like it's not made for appearances. I do not feel any flow of mysticism, energy, spirit. I do not feel that it is not a fetish item, that I can tell you.
What?
If it were, I would be able, unless it would be specifically created to elude others, but it is not a fetish item.
But I took it and its eye, it opened.
Its eye?
The bead inside, it appeared to be the eye of a snake.
And as you say that out loud, Red Claw and One Fang both hear that for the first time. You didn't describe this experience before. Yeah. How do you react?
Oh, I guess I didn't say this. Red Claw's with Oxbeer in them. That's what I meant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's sorry. That's what I meant earlier when I said that.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, in that sense, are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Well, in that case, One Fang, you being all alone without your best buddy by your side, how do you hear it for the first time? Curious Mind describe her experience looking at the orb and seeing a snake eye.
There was an eye, Curious Mind? What do you mean? Tell me exactly what happened.
When I tried to take it, it was like time was like when you're sleeping. It's different. And it stopped and it looked at me. And first I saw fire at the edges of my vision. And then I saw a slit in the middle of this bead. And it opened. And there was this snake-like eye looking at me. And everything was burning.
And
Under his breath, you actually hear like a Latin prayer, because that sounds a lot to him like some sort of satanistic thing. And it just responsively goes off as he says something to his breath. It's like, that sounds demonic. And then he's like, it clicks in his head. He's like, are there demons? What kind of creatures could be out there? Can this be a portal?
And Dusklight kind of chimes in and says, if it's a snake eye, snake has always been the symbol of the worm. Since when do we have? If that is of the worm, if that is of the worm, if that is what caused the bane to go into that body, we need to destroy that right fucking now. We need to destroy it right away. It doesn't get to spread its influence anywhere. But that's also rather a rare occurrence. If that is the case, you said that you felt that. I don't know why we're not feeling any emanating energy from it. If it is of the worm, we should be feeling it at least on some level. And it's the Cuckoo Bird said it's not a fetish item, and it certainly would have certain qualities if it were a fetish item that are not eminent on it. But it might be a much more dangerous thing that we give it credit for. If if it's really like if the snake thing isn't just a coincidence, if it was something else, or not snake spirits aren't worm servants, so of course somebody could have. I don't know.
Calm your mind.
We're really treading on some risky ground here with this thing that we have very little knowledge of.
One Fang reaches out and grabs his shoulder. He's like, "Calm down, Dusty. Calm. Can we? If it's something with a worm, will destroying it cause more problems? How can we destroy it?" And then he kind of looks at Curious Mind as well, kind of back and forth. How do we destroy it? He's like, "Can I get two rocks and smash them together? Will that destroy it?" He's like, "I think it's enchanted or something because the chain didn't break. If that was what was used to strangle Pure Blood, any one of us could have snapped such a tiny chain if we were in Krino's form. But it didn't break when it was strangling him. So it's probably stronger than what we think."
I don't want to just grab two rocks and smash it. If we do that, we don't know what's inside and what we might set free.
Off-game question. Does Curious Mind know the rite of cleansing?
Yes, she does.
All right. Then there's no trouble. But yeah, it's Dusklight will be like nodding his head like, yes, but curiosity did kill the cat. If we further study it, it might have some sort of an influence on us. If you saw something in it that the rest of us aren't seeing in it, really, I haven't actually gone that close to it, and I don't really want to. If that's what you saw, it can't be anything of good nature, unless it's some sort of an illusion made to delude us and turn us into the wrong direction or something. Whatever is the case, it feels like or rather, it sounds like something we are not really as Cleoths, not that well equipped to handle. And I'm not. We are not taking it to the elders. We're definitely not taking it anywhere near the Gaia. We need to take care of it as soon as possible. We could take it to the bear, perhaps, but beyond that, it's.
One Fang kind of looks at Dusklight, then back at Curious Mind, and says, "Is there a chance it could harm Master Bear? I thought of bringing it to him too, but I'm afraid, as it might endanger the Karn, I would not want to bring it to him as well."
Curious Mind will probably know this. If she does the rite of cleansing on it, will it? Is there a way for it to still contain, well, damaging rituals or damaging properties?
The rite of cleansing, whether it's an object or a person, basically, if you capture a fomori, and tie it to a tree and then perform this rite on him, you'll save the person that's been possessed by the Bane, and you will basically exorcise the Bane out of it and banish it from its host. And the same is for items, meaning basically worm-tainted items, any fetish items, any totem items, any item like that, where you can perform this rite and all the negative supernatural innards will be banished away.
All right, then that's what Curious Mind will do. I know a ritual. We can place it upon the necklace. It should cleanse it from any taint it has.
Are you confident you can do this?
Oh yes, I've done it several times in the Umbra.
That sounds good. That's something I was hoping to hear. I myself don't know that particular rite. That's why I was thinking if why the bear might have been the viable option. But if you know it, then just give me directions here. Tell me what you want. I'll go and fetch you all the ingredients you'll need for the rite. Just tell me what you do.
Yeah. What
All
do you
right.
need? Seriously?
I start again to make symbols around it. My
It's
friend,
laying
when you
there around the pendant. And what sort of symbols are you making around it? I'm not like testing your knowledge. Just to give more description.
yeah, she will make, of course, well, werewolf symbols around it, but mostly symbols that connect to her ancestry, about Fenrir, lots of Fenrir symbols and that sort of stuff. And she'll make it less aggressive than the usual Fenrir line is, but still there'll be harsh symbols and that sort of stuff strong. And once she made the symbols that are kind of loose, she'll use her nail to kind of draw a line through them all and connect them in that manner. So first she'll make the symbols, and then she'll run a circle through it. And she'll ask the cuckoo to join in as well, and so that she will have 4 participants in this ritual. And then she will have them placed in each of the north, south, east, and west positions.
There is an actual description of what sort of stuff you need for the rite.
I actually need stuff for it?
Yeah, but though it's stuff that's easily attainable, you need a torch, and you need what was it, like a big stack of hay or something of that sort, where that you need to walk counterclockwise around the circle that you drew on the ground around it. You need to carry a torch with you, and you need to splash clear water on the object or the person with the hay that you have in a bundle with you. And while you do it, the other participants need to snarl and scare the spirit away.
All right, then we'll give those. We'll start to do that. So I'll send out. What's his name?
And Dusklight.
Dusklight. Yeah, thanks. Dusklight to obtain these items, and
Okay.
I'll inform One Fang. Okay, I'm going to place you here, and I need you to be as intimidating as possible. What we're going to do is we're going to use our own will and our own ferocity to drive whatever is in that pendant out of it. Do you understand?
I do. And he begins to transform into his Krynos form, and then does his best interpretation of Oxbear when he's just roaring and attacking someone. He's like,
All right. It doesn't take a long time, or rather, I'll just kind of fast forward to Dusklight bringing all the items to you. He's found a branch that he's already lit onto flame, and he gives you that as a torch. It's kind of a caveman torch where it'll most likely sooner or later climb down to your hands and kind of shit, but it's a working torch. And he found long straws of not wheat, but these what are those things that are, on
Cattails?
Hmm?
Cattails?
Yeah, okay, cattails. Yeah, he found you a branch of cattails to hold in a branch, and they're wet. They're soaking wet that he dips in the lake, and he brings those two items to you.
Thank you. You know what's expected of you?
Um, do explain what?
What we're going to do is we're going to drive it out, and I need you to be as intimidating as possible. I need you to stand over there, and I need you to roar as loud as you can and do anything you would do for an enemy that you would be this close to attacking, but first psyching yourself up.
Okay, I'll do my best. We'll see. Um, and as you have all these tools with you there, and your two friends there having their mission briefing being given, and the cuckoo bird is there on your shoulder, flapping its wings a bit. Do you? What do you do then?
Well, I change into Krynos form, and I'll start the ritual, and I'll start to move around, singing and calling out to Fenrir of this that this taint has come into his land and that it needs to be wiped. But you kind of make a song of it, like a poem of sorts, and that whatever happens, that the children of Fenrir will not accept this darkness to find root in their lands, and that we have the strength in our body and in our spirit to drive it out. And she'll every time her story comes to a little bit of a peak, she'll splash water onto this pendant, and while she's telling the story, she's waving the torch around her head, and doesn't care if bits of leaf and brush fall off of her. It just drives her energy up, and she'll actually wave it above the head of her two Krynos friends as well, and having it psych them up even more, and building up this to this climax. And then when it does, she'll grab both the torch and the cattails, and she'll throw it at this pendant for the ritual to be finished.
Okay, I will have you. I will have Curious Mind do a rituals and charisma roll on this, and I will have One Fang do a charisma plus intimidation roll on this.
Four. That's 2 10s.
One Fang understands how important this is. He's going to spend a willpower for at least one success, since his charisma and his intimidation is 0. He's not much of an intimidating guy.
Wait, did you say your intimidation is 0?
My intimidation is 0, yeah.
Okay, in that case, if you're rolling only with the attribute, the difficulty is going to be higher. The difficulty is going to be 8, but with willpower, you're going to have that one success. Remember, though, if you do roll a botch, that botch is going to cancel that automatic success, just like it would a regular success.
Okay, so no ones.
Oh please, oh please, oh please.
I got an 8 and a 3, so 8 is a success. So 2 successes.
So 2 successes. Okay, good. So yeah, you said you're gonna try and mimic Ox Spear when you imagine him being.
At least for the roaring and the violent nature of the sounds that he makes, and I'm gonna I'm going to start sharpening my claws like Red Claw did, stomping my feet, and just being as intimidating as possible, lathering at the mouth, just kind of going insane. Almost probably every time Curious Mind passes me even more into it, to the point where there's like a zealot nature to my just screaming and roaring, where it just takes over. Almost like when I'm doing like my, when I'm in the priesthood or when I'm studying with the Catholic, you kind of get into that ritual of it, and you give yourself fully into it. He kind of does the same thing, but in this, it's this ritual that he doesn't understand, but it seems like the right thing to do. And then obviously Curious Mind is hyping him up, and then Dustlight next to him. I don't know what the Cuckoo Bird's doing, but I'm sure it's doing something to get me riled up. So flapping his feathers, and he's like, "Wah."
It's not doing anything that that much. It's there more as an emotional support for his friend. But yeah, it's as Curious Mind is doing this ritual as you're walking there and telling this epic poem story there. There's a definite points where everybody feels that this kind of a heat is building. It's not. It couldn't come from one torch. It's just this kind of a feeling, and the kind of the torchlight in itself. Whenever you kind of in your story, whenever there's a really strong, like when you really hit home something that's really like a hard consonant, something with a really strong P sound or a K or an R or something like that, the flame in your little torch there kind of goes on with it, and every time you whip the water onto the necklace that's inside the circle, you feel this kind of a brightness come into the glyphs that you wrote into the soil around you, into the circle. Every time you just whip the water there, it's almost like this little light, almost like whipping like a little bit of like oil into a fire or something like that. A little bit of a light emanates from those glyphs that you wrote there, and as everybody's kind of like snarling, as the two of them, as One Fang and Dusklight are snarling. Dusklight isn't really doing the whole warrior type of snarling. He's more like a rabid kind of like he's panting in this kind of rapid, this kind of this kind of that looks like, oh, he's going crazy, man. Like, it's but that's basically, he's doing it very differently than somebody like Oxspear or Red Claw or somebody like that, or One Fang is trying to do. Kind of this Mike Patton type vocal thing. But yeah, anyway, as that's going on, and as the fire is burning there on the torch, as you get to the climax part of it, and the heat starts to come such that everybody feels like beads of sweat coming off of their pores and on their foreheads, and as you went to the climax and then through the fire and the branches to the cattails to the center of the circle there with the necklace there, you feel that, or you all see that the fire catches onto the branches on top of the necklace there, and this almost like bonfire, well, not bonfire, but this fireplace-sized fire starts to come from it, like, and as everybody's like, I'm just going to add that one of the little mannerisms that One Fang does is that when you had your fight with Oxspear, you remember, at least in subconscious level, you remember when Oxspear, before he charged against you, he did this kind of a sumo wrestler kind of stomp thing, where he stomped with one foot on the ground and flexed all of his muscles and roared. It's like when the fire emits to the air from the middle of the circle after Curious Mind has thrown the stuff there, as the fire kind of comes, you automatically kind of stomp on the ground, flex all of your muscles, and let out this like this roar, and all of you see that kind of just like the a big bad wolf huffing and puffing. The flames just die out, and they die out in the shape of basically something like this. into the into the air, and it feels almost like somebody took out the lights, and it feels like all of the light around you just goes away, and you don't see any orange hue. You don't see anything emitting light besides after like 5 seconds or something, the moonlight again is illuminating where you are. But it felt really like the torchlight and fire, really this orange light, the same kind of light, orange that was coming from the necklace. After that, it just like all orange in the world around you is just taken away, and it's like everybody goes silent at that point. And that's where you are at this point.
One thing's like, is it done?
It is done. It is no more.
Once again, not knowing why, One Fang just kind of tilts his head back and just lets out a howl.
So that's a roar, not a howl, but
that's his deep-throated roar. I'm still going through puberty.
Of course, since you initiate that, it's very hard for anybody not to join in on it. It's very contagious for wolves, and everybody kind of or Dusklight at least tilts his head back and howls as well upward there.
That's a curious mind.
Yeah. And in front of you, with the burned cattails and the little bark that was the torch, you see that the necklace is still there. It's right in front of in the middle of the circle there.
Curious mind will break off of the howl quite quickly and change back into her lupus form and walk towards the bracelet. And she has this warm feeling of doing inside of her of doing something right. And she'll look at the necklace and kind of breathe out, kind of like, oh, and like, yeah, I showed you.
Yeah, as you see it right there before you, the chain looks exactly like it did before, but the ball is an empty, transparent. It looks like a glass ball. There's no color and nothing inside it. It looks just like a ball of glass.
A smile forms on her face.
One Fang reaches out with one, massive claw on her hand and kind of holds her shoulder, and then reaches down and just like uses this giant claw, and he's like ting, ting, touching the necklace to see if it's like gonna jump out or turn into some sort of monster. And when nothing happens, he kind of looks at her and he just grabs her and he's like just kind of shakes her and congratulates her.
We did good. We did good. You're crushing me.
Oh, sorry. He kind of backs off and turns into Muhammad form.
Yeah, Dusklight is also there. He's taking in deep breaths and like, oh, that was kind of intense.
I'll probably run towards Dusklight and kind of bump into him in a playful manner, as in, you were wonderful.
So were you. Was it as good for you as it was for me? And he just kind of shakes his head, and being a wolf, he doesn't really like sweat, but he's not like panting or anything, but he does look kind of drained, and he's like, oh, well, I guess we're kind of done here.
Curious mind will look at both of them and kind of smile and says, I was afraid the two of you would have actually attacked it, but, well, you certainly scared it good.
Just acting.
One thing's like, it crossed my mind at one time, near the end. I thought I should attack it. But
we should return and find this And you see her eyes like light up for a moment, like, we should go and see the bear spirit. Yeah.
Ah, yeah, that's right. You haven't had the privilege to meet him yet, have you?
Mm-mm.
Ah,
One Fang reaches down and grabs the chain and kind of picks that up and kind of palms it. He kind of holds it out towards Curious Mind. He's like, "Do you want to take it, or do you want me to carry it?"
It belongs to
offering
Redclaw. She can do with it as she pleases. It holds no taint anymore. Can you see the marble? It's actually empty.
One Fang holds it up and then says, "Well, this is your spoils of war. This was all your doing. Perhaps you should take it. You could bring it to the bear and show him. I'm sure Master Bear would want to see it."
Just hanging on one of my antlers.
So it takes him a couple minutes to get it so it's not hanging like 6 feet, 3 feet to the ground. He wraps it all up nice and he puts it there. He's like, shakes his head, looks good.
all right. So the three of you then set off to. Most likely, it would be One Fang who would be leading everybody because he has the most knowledge having to do with anything about the bear because he's the only one in this little trio who's dedicated to the bear. So, any info bombs or anything you want to lay on Curious Mind, or if Curious Mind has any questions, it's like the thing that you have on your neck, the bear tooth that, or was it a claw? I can't remember.
I think it's a 2.
Okay, the bear tooth that's the same sort of hue of turquoise as the outer line and the glow of the cuckoo bird is hanging on your neck. So it's something where once the bear gets mentioned, it's easy for Curious Mind to kind of put the two together and kind of notice the bear tooth there on the neck and see that it clearly has
See, One
mystical
Fang,
properties.
when we decide to go to the bear, immediately his demeanor changes to a smile as he's almost like a childlike happy because he hasn't seen the bear in a while, and he has that affinity for him. He kind of smiles, and it's slow for him, but he goes through all the forms going towards the wolf form so he can run faster. And you see him, he struggles with it, and once he gets past Krinos, he kind of slows down. But eventually he gets to, I don't know which form is faster. The bigger wolf is probably faster, I guess.
Yeah, but then again, you're with two regular wolves there, so it's kind of three wolves running around together is kind of.
All right, so I'll go all the way to the Lucas form and kind of look back and smile and then say, "Follow me if you can," and he takes off as fast as he can.
Okay, everybody follows One Fang. Sorry it took this long, but what about Red Claw? As you left with Oxspear and Red Bitch, do you plan to go along with them, or just leave to go do something else on your own, or what sort of stuff do you have on your mind?
All right. Well, for the time, what she'll do is as she's heading off, she'll be glancing back every few moments, realizing that she's left kind of One Fang there by himself. She kind of figures that this is an experience that he needs to experience upon his own, and she kind of thinks back to her times when it was rough for her for the first go around, and with that warm memory in mind. She actually ends up splitting off from the rest of the group, and she'll go off and do some hunting to clear her mind and senses. So what she'll do is she'll take some berries, and she'll lay them down on the ground at the base of a tree, and then she'll climb up to the top of that tree, and then she'll be crouched in like a pounce position. The second game comes along and starts eating away at it, she will jump down and then in like mid-form, transform from Hamid to Glabros and smash right down on top of it.
All right. I can't recall. Did you have any like merits or what gifts did you have? Do you have anything special in terms of hunting or anything like that, like covering your scent or sensing prey or anything of that sort? I can't recall what you had.
I have survival. Got 2 dots.
Okay, but nothing supernatural about hunting that you got. Okay. Well, in that case,
Wait. Does smell of man count? Yeah, I think it does.
no, the smell of man was, I think, the opposite. It was like it was to ward off beasts and that sort of thing.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. After you find berries and such and put them on the base of a tree and then climb the tree, do you like climb it in the? You said from human to glabro, so do you mean that you climb the tree in your human form there, and you're in the pounce position in human form in the on the tree branches there?
Yeah.
All right. Well, it'll take a little time because hunting is mostly about patience in the end because you're just waiting there, and you do see that after a while, during around these parts, the most common game are deer, and you see actually in the distance, walking a little bit towards your direction, you see a young buck there with extremely recognizable looking horns looking exactly like those that Curious Mind brandishes on her head with the pelt that she has on as her headdress. And you see the young buck there, and you're gonna make out all the neck muscles there and all the other parts that are clearly like you see individual muscles going in and out here and there, and it immediately like makes water kind of run on in your mouth as you're waiting there. But it's kind of there in the distance. It's kind of snatching tree bark from trees there, and it's a little bit of a distance away. It hasn't really caught your the attention of the berries yet, or rather, the berries haven't caught the attention of the buck yet. But you can do a survival and survival plus. I wonder what would be good with this when it comes to hunting. You've already spotted it, but I'll still have you do survival plus perception, even though that would be kind of for finding game. And even though I kind of already described the game is there, I'm still going to have you roll
that. That's 2 botches and not a single. Well, I got a 7. So the botch cancels out that one, and then that makes 1 botch in total. Why? Okay. That's still 2 botches.
Yeah, you got 2 botches in total, and then you had also success rolls, right?
Yeah, I had 1 success.
Okay, so only 1 botch then counts if those cancel each other out. In that case, poor Red Claw. It almost feels like. At first, you felt kind of bad, kind of splintering off from your friends, and then you kind of told yourself that, yeah, well, he needs to learn the tough love, the school of hard knocks, the way you were brought up, and then being like, oh yeah, now that you're on your own, you're gonna do something, spectacular, something to get your mind off of things and that sort of thing. And as soon as you start to work on your own, without your pack, without your trusty mates by your side, you do notice that as the buck is in your line of sight and as you're standing there, it's more of your focus that causes you to fail and not your prowess at hunting. It's the events that took place just now, I mean, just a little while ago, with the pendant and with the creature and with the body of pure love, it's haunting you. It's it's lingering on your. It's kind of like a monkey on your back. It's like constantly reminding you of its presence there. It's as you're there on in the pounce position, and as after you've noticed the buck there, it just keeps getting into your head. It doesn't like it feels like the air you're breathing burns somewhere inside your nostrils and in your head the same way that vapor did from the cauldron when you were tortured. And you feel these certain impulses. You feel these kind of twitch motions, and it just feels like you need to, like, okay, let's just focus on the buck. Let's just focus, and it comes again and again as a distraction and as something that makes after a while your palms sweat and your toes and fingers like clinch up without even involuntarily. And it's basically as you're in that kind of a you're looking into, your eyes are basically staring into empty space as you're kind of wandering off in your Vietnam flashbacks. You feel like the branch that you're standing on breaks underneath you. It was a halfway rotten branch that had a lot of worms in it, and it breaks underneath you. And as you're like standing there holding on to like one branch above as that falls from underneath you, and your whole body weight almost like yo-yos downward, your hand rips the branch that you were holding off with your arm on, and you fall from the tree. And as you fall down, you like during the fall, you rotate in the air where you fall right on your shoulder line with your feet sticking up into the air, and you could just as it breaks and you fall down, you can feel the beads of sweat just staying put as your body goes down. And as you fall down and it kicks the kind of air out of you, you also hear this kind of as the buck runs off, and you're left there lying on the ground after your feet come down to the ground, kind of wallowing in this kind of a realization that it feels like it's inescapable somehow, that even trying to do something that demands absolute concentration, where your mind wouldn't normally linger, it still happens, and you let yourself down. Thankfully, this wasn't a situation where you might have let somebody else down, and that thought also comes to your mind.
When that happens and she's on that mossy ground, she kind of closes her eyes and takes a deep breath, but then immediately afterwards she just grabs chunks of it and just starts throwing it everywhere. Ah, damn it! And then she starts like scratching herself and itching herself as she feels that stuff all over. She begins rolling back and forth. She'll grab the bits and pieces of moss and just start rubbing all up against her just to try to get the sensation to go away. She just can't seem to get it to go, and then she gets really pissed off of that, but she starts punching the side of the tree a bit. And
yeah, go ahead and do that. You get a rage point and do a frenzy roll. So how many dots did you have in rage, in your permanent rage?
I have 5.
Okay, so roll 5 dice with the difficulty of 6.
I have 3 successes.
Okay, you don't frenzy, but still, yeah, you're venting stuff there. You're not uncontrollable, but yeah, your emotions take the driver's seat there a little bit.
Oh yeah, she punches the living shit out of that tree. She begins like ripping bark off, and she just starts like almost in a boxer stance and starts punching it, but then she starts going a little bit wild, and afterwards her chest begins heaving back and forth and feels a little bit tired after all this exertion. And her hand slips from a fist to a palm and up against the tree and begins to slide a little bit. And afterwards she kind of grabs some moss and kind of gently places it on the parts where she's like stripped the bark, knowing that, and in doing so she kind of takes away the tree's only form of kind of retaining its warmth and nutrients during during the long winter. And she'll begin to sluggishly make her way back to the rest of the group, with all these happy thoughts in mind.
But before that, after you, before you even, while you were putting those bark pieces and that together, you hear from your crotch region a familiar voice from your little fetish friend there, the skull that's strapped around your waist there. It says that after you've shredded a tree and you're trying to put the pieces back together, he's like, that was uncalled for.
I am sorry, Ida Drake. I was lost in thought. That blasted pendant, pure love.
Well,
I couldn't face it. I couldn't go in there. Too much fear. I couldn't do it. How could I? How could I go in there and look at that thing dangling beneath his neck, the spirit of that wretched thing, that constant pain? I can't. That's shameful. I even despise myself currently for not doing it, but I don't know what else to do. It just seemed easier to just walk away at that moment. To think my hands were washed clean. I knew they weren't washed clean of it, but it didn't matter.
You feel you were robbed of your righteous vengeance?
Not even that so much. Don't get me wrong, I want to fight pure love with everything. I want to grab his neck, drag him by the scruff of his flesh, toss him down, let him know and acknowledge his defeat before he's given honorable death. Because I am not dishonorable like him. I will not leave another one of my kind in a pit like that, just to rot away because of his twisted ideals. But even more so, I can't shake those thoughts of what he's done. Those constant pains. Even now I felt like I'm still itching. She kind of scratches herself some more. I can't. Even those small areas, you know, Ida Drake, even those small areas, I begin to have trouble breathing, and the nightmares that follow. I don't know. I don't know how to face that. It's not an enemy. It's not something I can't physically smash into the ground. I don't know where to explain it, but it's not as easy to take down. I don't know how to tackle this thing that builds up within.
I wouldn't think anyone would know, really. But walking away from it instead of challenging it head on is not like you.
I thought I was abandoned. The thought strolling my mind. You're right. I did walk away from that, and I shouldn't have. I didn't know what else to do, though.
Well, you are now part of an actual community and a pack. You know, One Fang, he looks up at you like no one else. He has Ox Spear as a family member and as a leader of his pack, but if you've seen how he emulates you and how he looks up to you as well as after you when you have your little moments of weakness, then you need not hide from him at least. But you see the positive effect that you have on someone like him, and I'm sure you would have on others as well. You're a very strong source of inspiration for everyone who's close to you. You've always been a paragon for them to look up to. Hiding these weaknesses is understandable, and hiding that you're in pain is understandable, but it won't fix the problem. And I know, believe me, I know all that we've been through together, but still, it's not anything that I can face for you, or even that much with you. I can stand by you, but it's your fellow Garo, it's your brothers and sisters, your friends and comrades that really will lead you to your own salvation with this problem. But you need to be the one to take the first steps and initiate that. And nobody's expecting, most of them besides One Fang don't really have any clue what you've been through. But
No, you're right.
but at least don't try and hide it and deny it from yourself. Otherwise you'll never be rid of it.
No, you're right. You're very right, Ida Drake. I lapsed into an old habit there for a moment. I shouldn't have done that. Should be a much better example. It's taken up too much like my old man. With that, she kind of just dusts herself off a bit, and then she'll begin walking back. And as she does, she'll say, "It's too easy to forget. I let my rage get the best of me. I let those feelings burn too much. I still have much to learn. So much to learn. I'm glad I have you here, Ida Drake. You teach me much."
Same here. But now that you're done slashing at one of my cousins, maybe you're ready to go back to your pack mates and step up.
That's right. And she just runs back, and she'll turn into her Hispo form, big running back with much vigor.
Yeah, because I still can't remember how you spelled the skull's name, but basically the skull is in-housed with a tree spirit, so slashing the tree and the bark off of it. Okay. So Eider Drake is he's a tree spirit. So yeah, poor tree.
That's why she was putting that mouse back on, and she's like, "Oh God."
Yeah. Okay. Well, as a matter of fact, the rest of you were inside the Umbra, so even if you would run across each other, you would miss each other. But it was mentioned that everybody's gonna meet up at the bears' little sanctuary that they have built up there.
Well, I'm assuming that if we head towards the bear, that we actually leave the Umbra where we are and then go through the physical world to the bear.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm assuming.
I don't see any reason for that, because if you want to communicate with the bear, you need to be in the Umbra.
Oh, well, there you go. Then we'll stay in the Umbra.
Yeah, I thought I was on that idea. But yeah, if Red Claw would get the idea that everybody's going to meet up at the bear sanctuary there, would she head up there, or?
Yeah, she'll head right up there.
Okay. So in that case, that's where everybody meets. What about your trip there with the three of you, One Fang and Curious Mind and Dusklight? As you are going there, are you just is One Fang kind of like, oh, you'll see when we get there, or is there any conversation or anything happening during the trip?
I mean, One Fang won't start anything as he's really trying to get it. I mean, he knows that he's not the strongest, but he knows that he's got really good stamina, so he's trying to push him to go as fast as he can and to get to them as fast as possible. And he's also, it didn't slip his mind completely, but he kind of thought Red Claw was going to come with him into the Umbra when he stepped through. Then when he turned around and she wasn't there, he got caught up in dealing with everything else. So he's kind of, in some ways, concerned about her. That's unlike her to... I mean, they pretty much stay stuck together whenever he's around, So he kind of even though he's taking it personally, even though it has nothing to do with him, he's still kind of like, well, what did I do? Why isn't she here? So he's still hoping that she'll be at the bear. So he's kind of even pushing it harder because of that on top of it. But he wouldn't. I mean, if Curious Mind starts talking to him, obviously he's going to talk to her. He's not going to. But up to that point, he's just going to jump and leap over logs, bounce off trees. Making sure that she doesn't trip him because she knows that she likes to do stuff like that. Trying to be aware.
Okay. Well, in that case, everybody, I would expect that once, that Red Claw would arrive to the place first and see that nobody's there in the physical realm, and it's, it comes to mind that they're most likely in the Umbra, So, and the whole no, it actually wait, what? Wait a minute. I'm thinking the sanctuary that was there for the bear, where there's the flat rock formation with the dipping hand thing that One Fang hanged the bear pelt on. If that's in the no, it's in the Umbra because otherwise people might find stuff like that. Most of the werewolf stuff is in the Umbra, so okay, it's there.
Well, Agnes was with me when I put the bear pelt on it. Could she go into the Umbra?
Oh yeah, no, she can't. No, she's not a werewolf.
So I mean, maybe there's two Karns, one in the Umbra and then one. It's very similar in the real world.
Well, I can't remember. This is going to be revisionist history because I can't remember the details. Well, so if somebody goes or if any of us go to the earlier videos to fact check it, it might change now. So let's say, because you did it with Agnes, let's say that it's in the physical world, that in the Umbra there's just kind of a representation of that little thing there. So basically, yeah, as in that case, Roger was right, and they should have gone to the physical world, and you all would have met up right there on the kind of opening, the clearing in the forest where One Fang originally went to see the bear with Ox Spear when he was just a cub.
How close are we getting to the village? How close are we getting to the village?
Not really that close. It's of course, since you were at the lake, it's closer to the village, but it's kind of on the side halfway. It's kind of a little bit to northwest and in the middle between the distance from the lake.
Okay, so Curious Mind won't get distracted by a village in the distance or something.
Yeah. That's not going to happen there. So yeah, okay, everybody's in the physical world. Everybody's in the physical world. Everybody comes to the clearing exactly at the same time from different parts of the tree line there, and everybody comes there. And just to describe it to how Curious Mind sees it as well, there's this hill, there's this, or rather a slope of grass and everything of that sort in this quite large clearing that's the size of a, let's say, 2 hockey rings, something like that. So it's kind of a large clearing there. And it's almost like a meadow, not exactly, but still. Great descriptions. But yeah, on the top of this steep steep hill there is this kind of a half wall. There is this stone wall that's been erected where the edge, there's like two stone walls that come into a 90-degree angle corner, and the edge of that corner is pointing towards the downhill slope of this clearing. And the wall that has that corner has like on the inside of that wall there is this rock formation of these kind of Viking style, these flat rocks stacked on top of each other in the corner of that little two wall little structure there. And also on top of that, on the edge of those two walls, there's a bear pelt that's made into a actual like a cloak with a bear head and all, and the paws coming over shoulders and all that. It's been hanged there very decoratively and very like respectfully type of thing. And the rock formation of those little rocks comes straight into the level of it being kind of like a little table or an altar where you could place things or grab things or that sort of thing very conveniently. So that's very much what it looks like. So yeah, you meet up at this location there. For Red Claw and for One Fang, this is a very familiar location to arrive at. Red Claw isn't dedicated to the bear, though she is a member of a pack that has taken on the bear as its totem. But unlike One Fang, she hasn't like sworn allegiance and taken upon herself, you know, the whole bear totem thing. You know, so you've never actually, Red Claw has never met the bear. You've met the bear spirit that, you know, hangs around in this place. That's usually like an intermediary between the bear totem and you guys. But One Fang has himself been, you know, his mind has been transported into the location of the bear, and he has had some contact with him. Not too much, very like vivid memories, but very like scattered, let's say. But yeah, this took forever. Now you're now you're there. Everybody's there. Everybody meets up at this little sanctuary there that's on top of the hill. Everybody except for Red Bitch and Oxspear, they're most likely in the Umbra, but the four of you meet there.
One Fang comes blazing into the clearing, obviously running as fast as he can, trying to beat Dusklight and Curious Mind. And if he sees Red Claw, I guess he totally does because she's probably standing there, he'll let out a little kind of like a short greeting howl and then begin transforming out of wolf form. So as he gets within a couple feet of Red Claw, he'll be back into his Homid form.
Red Claw will respond in kind. She will turn back to her Homid form and she will look upon you. Ah, greetings.
He smiles and surprisingly for him, he kind of reaches out and grabs her arm like he normally does when he greets her, and gives her a half hug and says, "You're never gonna believe what we did." It's like we removed the worm from the necklace. It was awesome. You should have seen Curious Mind.
That's the first you've ever heard of the W word having to do with this.
You say the worm?
He's like, yeah, that's what Curious Mind said it was. I don't really know much about it. I assumed you would know. He kind of looks over at Curious Mind, who I'm assuming is caught up. She's probably just as fast.
One little thing I want to mention that's a distinction between the Dark Ages and the Werewolf the Apocalypse. Worm is not yet the main enemy. Worm is not the the most wanted villain. It's not the most common thing to fight. The most common thing to fight are usually other werewolves and other creatures like that. But with worm stuff, most likely no one in your entire sept has ever seen a worm fetish. It's an absolute rarity at this time in history. It's a lot of stuff having to do with the worm is completely shrouded in mystery, and it's more seen as a natural force and a force for and something that has agents like the Banes and all this sort of stuff. It's still, bad, evil, all this wicked stuff, but it's not like in the days of the apocalypse where there's like worm creatures and influence around every corner. It's almost like the modern world has become the way it is because of worms' influence, and in this medieval time, its influence is quite slim, and it's not every day you stumble upon something like this.
Red Claw's going to look upon Curious Mind, and she'll have a raised brow and go, "Is what one thing says true? Is this really a fetish of the worm? I find that hard to believe."
Well, it might be. I'm not 100% sure. I saw. Sorry, just one fang just kept going at a great speed.
He has a lot of energy.
I think it was. I saw this eye in the bead. I kind of tilt my head to keep to kind of point the bracelet or the necklace towards Red Claw. The bead, when I tried to take it from you, it was like this eye of a serpent was looking at me, and it was actually Dusklight who made the link of this serpent being, well, possibly an agent of the worm.
Yeah, no. I will actually correct that. It's that was simply I could have been overreacting with that perhaps a little bit, but it was more of a precaution than anything else. It's actually it being of the worm was something that was that just blurred into my mind because of it being described as something like a snake eye or something of that sort. It's just that whatever it was, it felt like it was something really nasty, and I don't know. I can't actually recall exactly what I was thinking at that point, but still, it was the right thing to do to completely we cleansed that whole necklace. As you can see, it's completely transparent now that nothing's in it. So something was in it. Something was in it that had a snake eye and that made. How did you describe it? You said something like about.
Bird.
Yeah. If like Oxpear thought it was some kind of a spirit of war or something like that. Of course, burning villages and whatnot, is part of war and it being menacing and that sort of stuff. But it was more of a precaution than anything else.
You're absolutely right. I think it's a good thing that we cleanse it. So the necklace is yours if you want it.
She kind of looks at the pendant and, oh, you're right. It's clear. There's a teardrop.
It's actually quite nice now.
No, you can have it. I have no more use for it. It reminded me of the past, and now that it has been cleansed, it's, well, no longer as threatening. No longer fills me with that dread.
I'm glad to hear it.
Well, here we are then.
One Fang turns at him. He's like, "Let's get you to meet Master Bear. and he kind of runs up to the altar.
Is there anything I should know about him?
As he runs, he turns over his shoulder. He's like, he'll know what to do about the necklace.
Okay.
And when Fang gets up to the altar, he kind of grabs a hold of his bear tooth and begins to just call forth to who he calls Master Bear, even though that's not really what he is. That's what he calls him. And knowing that the bear is always with him, he just kind of draws that energy and tries to get him to come forth.
Yeah, since you're in the physical realm, you will need to go into the Umbra to actually interact with him. But yeah, you definitely, when you clench that, you feel the bear's influence, and you feel its presence and you feel its power, surging from the tooth there, and you know by just thinking clearly and very directly about wanting to coerce with the bear, that if once you step sideways, he will be there because you're one of the bear's devoted followers.
I guess the hard part is stepping sideways. He looks around for something reflective, I guess.
Oh yeah, that's something people need to.
I need to get a mirror.
Carry something reflective with you, but yeah, you can always look at somebody's eyes, I guess. Then, since that's become a thing.
It's totally okay. Yeah, so I guess once again I stop and I'm looking around and then I walk up to Red Claw. No, actually this time I actually walk up to Curious Mind and I kind of say, "Do you mind?" And then I kind of get really close to her, like right up to her muzzle, kind of looking into her eye.
Who was, by the way, given the necklace? Who did Red Claw give the necklace to?
It's still connected to my antlers.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a reflective surface.
Oh, I thought it was like glass. I guess technically, yeah. All right. Then I guess I'll look into that. I don't want her to feel uncomfortable with me staring at her eyeball.
Okay.
Rip open the fabric of existence.
Yeah.
And smile, and then just kind of like hold his hand out so they can step through first, and then he'll follow through.
Red Claw will give a slight.
Excited. He's like just smiling, giddy, like you've never seen him like this.
Red Claw will stop, and then she'll like put her hands on your shoulder, and she'll go, "You did good. Come on," and she'll like grab him and just shove him in there.
Okay. He doesn't resist since he can't anyways, and kind of stumbles through, smiling.
And she'll slightly shake her head from side to side, smiling as she wanders in.
Okay. As you come in, as Curious Mind is the first to come through the portal. As you come in there, the clearing looks very similar, and the sky looks again, filled with stars and comets flowing there, and the giant pale moonlight, almost like a spotlight, just illuminating the entire clearing there. And as you step forward through the portal there, through the tear, you step forward and you see that the same little wall is there, but it's kind of single bricks and stones and stuff aren't, you can't make them out. They're it's just kind of a solid form, and it's kind of it's just there, and it's kind of it kind of emanates this spiritual this kind of a energy from it, but it's not it doesn't have all the details, or at least at first glance, that the physical realm's representation had, with all the bricks and with the pelt and with the stone formation and all that. As you've stepped through and you're standing there before anybody else comes behind you, you immediately feel this presence. You feel within yourself, like when you're around somebody like the cuckoo bird, who's of course there again, who has followed in the Umbra, who's flying somewhere in the sky, just waiting for you to call down on him if need be. In his presence, you always feel this certain little tingling, this certain that sort of kind of like feeling the pulse of another living being, but in this kind of spiritual sense. Now, as you're standing there, you feel like from behind you, this kind of, if you felt from the cuckoo bird, this kind of tingling, you feel almost like this bass-like thumping from this kind of from behind you, and you feel this air kind of, since you're in your lupus form, you feel this air kind of that kind of with your fur coming from behind your shoulder lines, this kind of air puffing from behind you.
I jump around, like.
As you jump around, you basically look behind you as you jump, and there you see a ginormous, basically like the size that the animal forest gods in Princess Mononoke are. Those kind of like completely giant, like with a bear. How many times that would be bigger? Something like 8 times, 10 times. It's extremely large. It's a ginormous bear, and it's completely just like with the cuckoo bird and many other spirits. It's again like this very like Japanese calligraphy style. These black strong outlines on it that change around based on its movement, and it's completely bright, pale, like the moonlight, like just glowing off of it with this kind of turquoise, bluish hue on it, and the air that you felt came from its nostrils as it was standing there behind you. And as you see it tower there, when it's standing on all its 4 paws, it's not like standing on its hind legs, the tear that you step through is right in front of it, like under its chin, like it's right there, like under its chin there, and it's standing there, and you're looking at that with its bright, glowing, like fiery eyes that have that turquoise, bluish hue on them. You feel the like I said, the kind of the enormous power of it. You feel like this life force, this kind of pulsing, just these thumps of spiritual energy. Just it's this giant entity in front of you, and as you kind of look onto it, your friends leap through the tear.
I again jump to the side for them now, like. And but as I land, I kind of lower my head and in a respectful bow towards this bear.
Okay. So when Redclaw and One Fang and Dusklight come through the portal, you see the first thing mostly that you see is Curious Mind looking like behind you and then bowing her head in respect. And you can guess what that means.
Yeah, I trace her vision back to the massive figure behind us, and she is taken aback by by the sheer impressiveness of this, and she in turn backs up and begins to kneel down and bow as well.
Okay. What about One Fang?
Well, One Fang, probably immediately upon entering, even without seeing him, he kind of senses where the bear, where the bear spirit is, where Master Bear stands, and he kind of steps to the side and then smiles and then gets down in one knee like he normally does, and he just says, "Master Bear," and he just kind of keeps his head bowed to her.
Yeah, the bear, it turns its head towards One Fang and lets out another puff of air from its nostrils as it lowers its head in a respectful nod, and it says, "One Fang," and with this kind of a bear noise kind of emanating, vocalizing the same time as the words, kind of this, as it returns the respect to one of his faithful followers. But as soon as he does that, he then takes slow steps forward, and also Dusklight, by the way, is also taking a knee there, joining everybody there, and the bear takes steps forward with its giant paws, and you can see even with your heads bowed as it like lifts one of its paws and like reaches forward to press it down. You see those giant claws on it that look like, you know, it could just tear down trees if it would want to. You know, it's just, even though it's stepping clearly very softly, it's not like it's stomping, but it's just this. You feel this thump, this force from its mere presence and its figure moving forward, and it comes straight in front of Curious Mind, and you can feel on your fur as its nose is placed like a half a centimeter off of your fur, and it like inhales. It takes your scent there as it sniffs around you, and it goes. It seems very intrigued and inquisitive as it's just huffing in air. I do not believe I've had the pleasure.
No, this is the first time we meet, Master Bear. My name is Curious Mind, if it pleases.
It does. You are a descendant of North Star. I can smell it on you.
She is my mother.
And that explains her little friend gliding above. I remember all of North Star's little allies. She's often come to me for guidance and counsel. And it starts to walk beside you. Also, while passing Dusklight, and Redclaw kind of looks at you and like acknowledges you, but doesn't like do a bow or anything like that, as you're not like devotees. But it's very like he seems intrigued by Curious Mind, and walks like, if you're here, it just kind of walks beside you, kind of. And as it walks beside you, it kind of turns its head and says, "Come."
I get up and follow.
You have no need of bowing before me and calling me master. I am no master of yours. I am simply an intermediary. The master token is simply something One Fang seems to enjoy. It is no real title. I am nothing but a humble servant of the Bear Totem.
Understood.
No need to be tense or anything of the sort.
Immediately her tread becomes lighter and less tense.
When people are too when people spend too much time in their own heads and become too self-conscious, they lock away much of wisdom that could be attained. Do not do that. Be yourself around me. If you wish to meditate, if you wish to gain further knowledge and wisdom and understanding, you will need to be fully aware of your own faculties and yourself. So, all of this groveling and such is of no need. though I do much appreciate the gesture. Are you famished, Gayangaro?
If you'd offer me food, I eat it.
Come, and it points with its head to all of you to follow him. I left the rest of your pack to the stream, now that you have cleansed its waters, and of that I applaud you and appraise. You have done well. This morning it still had the specific taste of vile black death upon it, and no more. I wish to hear what it is that you did.
Well, Red Claw, One Fang, and I went with the blessing of the lake spirit. We were allowed to enter her essence and found the Bane spirit there. We tried to attack it within the essence of the lake spirit herself, but it manages to worm itself into a body, a fallen corpse of a red talon.
Now, I feel rather confused. If a Bane spirit should have been here, I should have noticed. That explains the taste of death, but how it kept itself from me or the others still escapes me.
It was located inside what appears to be a blister of sorts. It was a small, thin layer of, I would almost say, thin flesh. It cut like paper and like the skin you have above your eyes. It was merely a protective layer. Perhaps it was there to shield it from any sense.
Most disturbing. And you see, as you've talked, he's walked with you towards the tree line, and right next to that tree line within the forest there's the river that's flowing very strongly there. And you can notice that by the river there's Oxspear and there's Red Bitch. Kind of Oxspear is kind of well, he's doing push-ups, and Red Bitch is kind of just sitting on the sidelines, leaning on a tree, and kind of looking just kind of bored and just anxious to see you guys arrive, because that was kind of what they were waiting on. And once you arrive there, it's kind of like Oxspear stands up, and Red Bitch also becomes much more just, you know, her attention is grabbed, and she's looking towards your group arriving with the bear. As the bear is walking towards the river there. Let's see. Pure, untainted water. And it dips its claws into the river, and they kind of cut the flow of water, and it just does this kind of a move with its paw, and with each little swipe, a full large salmon just ejects from the river and flies towards you guys. It's just, and everybody gets their own giant salmon there from the river. And even though they have this kind of a moonlight type of a glow, you can see, salmon fish bones on the other side of the river where Oxbear and Red Bitch are hanging out. So they most likely ate of it as well. So they've tested it for quality.
I try to catch mine and immediately scarfing it down.
All right.
Red Claw will do the same. When she grabs it, she'll go into her clap roast and start just like digging in.
All right. And as after, what about one of Fang? Sorry.
Oh, one Fang just gets blasted with fish and water and knocked to the ground, and then just starts laughing because he knows there's no way he was going to catch anything, so he just took the brunt of it, and then grabs one of the fish that's flopping around and just smiles, and I guess he begins to process. Now he's going to transform into one of the wolf forms. Much easier to eat these things, I think.
Yeah. And after the bear does that swiping thing, it sits down on its ass there with its front paws being all straight. It sits like a dog would sit or something like that, with its front paws in the middle of its back paws, hind legs. As it sits there and kind of sniffs the air and then turns its head towards you and says, "So, I can appreciate the visit, but from what I understand, you had something you wished to ask me or tell me, anything of the sort."
Master Bear, there was a necklace that contained an entity. Maybe Curious Mind can explain it better. I don't understand what it is, but it definitely wasn't a spirit. And he kind of looks over at Curious Mind.
The necklace was found. The necklace was found under the body of the guru that was used as a vessel from the Bane spirit. This, I kind of look at Red Claw. This corpse was, from what we all believe, to be the corpse of a red talent named True Love.
Actually, it was Pure Love.
Oh, Pure Love. Oh, sorry, Pure Love. So this this corpse, the guru was killed by being strangled, and it still had this necklace. I kind of tilt my head of the necklace with my antler so we can see it better.
It on its own, just the bear kind of, you see that it widens its eyes and its pupils kind of shrink, and the necklace kind of levitates off of the antler and just kind of levitates through the air towards the bear, and it raises one of its paws and it goes to one of its claws, and it just looks at it and kind of sniffs it. But you can continue talking while this.
While it was Red Claw took hold of it, I sensed that it had a strong spiritual presence, and it caused Red Claw to have an uncomfortable sensation, but we're not sure if it was because of her memories of its thing or the thing itself. But when she allowed me to examine it, I tried to take it, and even before I grabbed it, the rock inside of it stared at me. It was like time acted different around it, around me. And I was just looking at it, and it narrowed my vision, and to the sides it was like there was fire around me. And suddenly a vertical slit opened, and it was like this eye of a serpent who was looking at me, and everything started burning.
So you cleansed it.
I did.
Mm-mm. That was the right thing to do, young cub. It was the right thing to do, but it's hard for even me to give an opinion based on those descriptions without getting first-hand knowledge. But at the same time, it's impossible to say how dangerous it would have been had you brought it to me or had you brought it to anyone else without cleansing it as soon as possible. I am expecting that you, being not only a new member to the War Hearts pack, but also being a descendant of Shield Maiden and North Star, that you, it kind of slits it to its claw and then hands it back with its paw, that you would be interested in meeting the bear.
Very much so.
Perhaps it will have answers about that, but I cannot speak for him. I can only lend you my ear.
Please.
You seem to have arrived with these three. Do they? You're a full-on pack. You are a brotherhood, but these having to do with this necklace, these Garou around you, this red, not this, but Red Claw here has had first-hand experience in the past with this, and One Fang also is a devoted follower of the bear. So would you be taking these brothers and sisters of yours, these friends and comrades of yours with you to meet the bear?
That is not my decision to make. If they wish to come, they are, as you mentioned, my brothers and sisters, and I have no secrets for them.
As she's like chewing on the salmon, she kind of chokes and yes, I would love to go.
And the bear kind of looks at One Fang. You being one of my flock, would you be their guide?
He smiles, dropping the fish that he was only gnawing at because he's not used to eating as a wolf, and says, "Of course," and begins transforming into Krynos form.
Good. Now, as you, One Fang, know very well, follow me. And the bear immediately erects itself on its hind legs and turns to one of the trees right next to it, and you can hear the crunching as it sinks its claws into the trunk of the tree, just and it starts to climb the tree the way bears climb it, as it's like taking these like hugging grab holds of the tree, and with its hind legs just going up the tree. And the tree is quite enormous, and for a bear like that, the climb is rather quick, because one swipe of the paw is just this kind of, it kind of just goes high up into the tree as it just climbs, and climbs very quickly. Sorry.
One Fang smiles, runs toward the tree as fast as he can, and says, "Quick, transform, sisters, and run as fast as you can." And he leaps up onto the tree and starts climbing after the bear, knowing that he climbs really fast, so he's going to keep up with him.
I follow suit.
Yeah, Red Claw's gonna go into her Krinos form and keep up.
Yeah, everybody, when you climb and you have those, especially with a Red Claw and One Fang having those razor claws, climbing that tree trunk there, sinking your claws deep into it and climbing it well, you also climb it very well, just like the bear climbs it quite, like, he goes up very quickly because of his size, but he does move kind of slow, whereas you can move like cats, basically on the scratch pole of a tree there. And as all of you, climb together, you start to notice that the tree keeps going on and on and on, and it feels like if we were in the physical realm, we would have reached the top already, but you still keep like small bits of bark keep falling down as the bear is like really crunching its way up, and these little bits just kind of like fall from right next to your head, next from your head as you keep climbing up. And as you get above the tree line, it's a magnificent sight because it's kind of this entire landscape ahead of you. As you get up and you see that the tree that you're climbing goes further up than the other trees next to it, and you get above the tree line, this vast landscape of this forest where the trees look almost like this very, very dark green color, but with the giant moon right above you, giving this huge, bright, pale hue, gives everything like this very kind of this kind of shade where everything has like a very strong, very dark shadow, and where light hits, it's very, very bright and pale. So it's just this kind of a breathtaking a view that you haven't really seen before. At least you don't in your common day-to-day umbral travel see. And with the breath that you exhale coming out as this frost-like mist out of your mouths, and with your fur flowing like it does underwater, and all these little sensations going about you, it's very hard not to just kind of stop and just kind of take in the kind of scenery that you're seeing before you before just continuing to climb back up. And when you look up, you see that the tree is actually doesn't like end in a point. It spreads into this kind of this collection of very, very strong branches in this very it's kind of an eagle's nest on top of the very peak of the tree. And as the bear climbs on top of it, it goes just like when One Fang first came into this place. It goes and it sits there on like multitude of branches underneath its butt there as it sits there with its like in the giant moon's pale light. It just this flowing pale and bluish turquoise hue emanating off of it, and yeah, do you do anything specific, or does any of this invoke any specific thought before you go all the way up?
Red Claw will pause every once in a while just to gaze at the scenery. Like she'll just stop and kind of take it all in, actually. And when they get up to the top, she kind of just looks over and just kind of becomes awestruck by the beauty of that moon, and she kind of just finds herself reaching out just a little bit.
Okay. What about the rest of you?
Yeah, Curious Mind will also be having trouble realizing where she places her claws when she's climbing up, because she's just like, ooh, almost now and then just grabbing and clinging to the tree because she almost falls over. And but when they reach the top, or when we reach the top, she'll be a bit anxious and a bit like, okay, what's going to happen now, and not sure how well, what's gonna go on. So she's a bit like, okay, what now?
Okay. What about One Fang? This is already a familiar thing for you, but it's still, you know.
Yeah, one thing is just full of excitement. His heart is pounding, and as much for himself to be able to once again touch the entity that is Master Bear for him, but for his friends, the two people that he really is starting to grow so attached to, for them to also see and experience what he's experienced. Since the only person he's been able to tell it is Agnes, and she can never experience it. To have other people experience what he is going through and to talk to them is something that he's looking forward to. But he continually like will look over his back and be like, "Hurry, don't stop. It's more important to get to the top. Wait until you get there." Trying to egg them on so they're not just stopping to look around. And then he continues to burst to the top to sit next to Bear once again up in the heavens like that.
All right. As everybody gets up on the branches there, and you sit there, you kind of there's this very this very serene, most spiritual stuff that's been described. It's again very serene, very calm, very this kind of noiseless, very like this meditative, very this kind of calm. Cool and collective type of inspiring type of an atmosphere where you can just imagine most of your anything that's like weighing on you, mentally or anything. They're just kind of exhaling that away from yourself for a little moment as you're in the moment there on top of the tree there, and as you're sitting there, it's like you're sitting beside this giant spiritual bear, and the rest of you, the three of you in your Krynos forms on the other side of the top of the tree, and the entire Luna behind you, basically forming the entire background there as it's shining its pale, bright light on all of you, with all of you having very strong and dark shadows underneath your eyes and underneath your chin and all this sort of stuff, and also all the places like your foreheads and your cheekbones and your muzzles and all that, very pale in the moonlight. And as you are standing there, you see that the bear kind of turns its head to look straight at the moon, and it's kind of takes in this very long breath. It seems like a very long time for its, you see its sides kind of expanding as it's taking in a very strong amount of air there as it's gazing into the moon, and then it turns slowly towards you, and from its nostrils just this fog comes to the basically the part where the branches spread out. It kind of fills that canvas there with this kind of a fog, and it's also this very calming, this kind of smoke there. And the bear then leans forward and says, "You, brothers and sisters, take a hold of one another."
Are we? Did ambient light come with us as well?
What?
Is it just the three of us?
Yeah, the three of you.
Okay. Okay. Well, then depending on where I stand, I either grab.
You're in the middle. Let's say that.
Oh well, then I grab One Fang and Red Claw.
Okay. Once all of you get to this height where you're basically in a physical contact with one another and you're close to one another, the bear then looks straight at into the eyes of Curious Mind and says that even though One Fang is to be your guide as he has been where you are going before, you are still the Thurge, you are still the shaman of the group. Your friends will look up to you to guide them when it comes to the spirit when it comes to needing intermediaries like myself in most situations in life. When it comes to mysticism, shamanism, animism, our spiritual essence, the cosmos. When it comes to the banes you've faced, when it comes to the items that have mystical properties, your friends will lean on you, your friends will turn to you for guidance. That is your duty, your piece on life, your part of this community, your part in the circle of life that we all take part in. Now bow your heads and embrace eternity. And you, along with the bear, bow your heads, and you see that the bear whips its head up, and its eyes are all wide, and they look like windows into the void, as it just has this very similar effect as when you stepped into the essence of the lake spirit. It completely envelops you. You feel like your being is being somehow like vacuumed, like sucked off of you, and it does like almost like you're being like your particles are being beamed over the fabric of the cosmos, where the bear is basically being like he's just like the phone that's like sending you through the wires into the thing, and and yeah, you feel like your entire essence there like evaporating in this calming way. It's like you could imagine like it being a very like this like what's happening, like my particles are being like smashed and you know taken off of me, but it's this very like exhaling from a deep breath. It's like this opening a door for fresh air, this kind of a your just your spiritual essence and your being is just being like sucked in to somewhere else. And Roger, being the third, will get to do the enigmas and no, actually, you will get to do a Gnosis roll, or you can spend a Gnosis point to get a perfect success.
I can spend a Gnosis point or a Gnosis roll.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Well, a Gnosis roll, just like with opening, you know, the portal, it's you either roll the amount of dice you have permanent Gnosis, or you spend one temporary Gnosis point to get an automatic success, just like with opening a portal when it's stepping sideways.
Oh, well, is it just one success, or is it just then it just happens perfectly?
It depends on what. No. Spending the point means an automatic success, just like opening the portal. It's like it immediately opens.
Okay, then I'll spend a Gnosis point.
Okay. Since when Michael, when he was still only Michael, went through this, he had his first change only moments before, and he had been punched in the head and something that felt like he was concussed. He was out of it. He didn't know who he was, where he was, what he was really doing, what this bear thing was, what his place in the world was, and going through this process almost scrambled his brains to an extent. It gave you like these these flashes of visions, and it caused you to get this nosebleed, and it was like you got just you get like one sentence out of the totem bear spirit that you could handle before you had to be like released from the connection. but with someone who's spent an entire year in the battleground realm, the only one of you who's ever been to any of the realms in the near Umbra, the shaman of the group, the one who's a descendant of North Star and of Shield Maiden, the someone like Curious Mind, who has basically the compared to, you know, it's like comparing a basic Corolla to something working on a V8. You know, it's like you're basically, yeah, you have the tools, the mental tools to basically have this work out the way it's supposed to, where through the intermediary of the bear, you are completely, just like with the lake spirit, you're transported into another place. Your being is being shoved into this other realm that you don't really have a complete um, understanding of as you arrive, as you feel this kind of you feel almost like you're in the eye of a storm, in a tornado, as everything you feel like is like just jumbling around you, but in this, at the same time, this positive way. It's just that there's a lot of noise, a lot of movement, everything is flying about, your particles are flying around, and everything about you is just being like disassembled and assembled again in another plane. And that's where we're going to continue next time.
Nice.
Yeah, see? It's a cliffhanger, see?
Sweet.
So,
Yeah, I got like 4 words. I got like, werewolf should not fight werewolf. That was it. Out of my entire trip. That's what I feel like for as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Yeah, it was actually going into this place. I had this as like after the first half hour they're gonna go there and that sort of thing, but things kind of took a longer time. So I'm gonna save this rather than either making this video like 4.5 hours long or making your trip there very short. I'm rather we stop here and pick up from here the next time so that it. We'll have all the energy up again and all that sort of stuff. So,
As far as I'm concerned,
I'm going to stop the broadcast, and thanks for anybody who's watching, and till next time.